You know what I have found in 40 years of marriage is that when I work on myself, everything improves. When I work on myself, my relationships improve. When I work on myself, my income improves. When I work on myself, my health improves. All of these different aspects improves. So welcome to another episode of Nourify and Beautify, the podcast that shows you the other side of beauty. Every week, we interview experts about the world of beauty, health, and wellness so that you can make informed decisions that are right for you. My name is Linda Yates, and this week I am all on my own. I miss my co-host Noor terribly, but I wanted to spend some time digging a little bit deeper into our topic from last week with you. In this episode, I'm going to talk about how foundational it is to learn to build new routines. And we understand that you come to our podcast to incorporate what you learn into the self-care into your lives. That's the whole reason you're even coming to this show. But if you don't have the skills to implement a routine, you might feel unsuccessful in building those new habits. And so I'm going to offer you some tools and some tips in this episode. Also, the pandemic created a huge interruption in everybody's routine, it seemed to be, which can either be seen as sometimes good or bad. Mindset is really important in this aspect. And so we'll look at this as an opportunity to establish a new routine that can be a better reflection of what you value and what you want. And then reflection like this can help you stay connected with your needs and your values, which then keeps you from getting caught up in trends, which can be really easy to do. So getting lost in trends because you're hungry perhaps for that feeling of the right routine, but looking externally rather than spending the time looking internally. Looking internally is where you're going to be fed most from that self-care routine. So listen in. Hello, everyone. My name is Linda Yates. I'm also known as the Image Energizer. And today I'm just going to do a solo. I am missing Noor big time, but we thought as we discussed that maybe I should build upon what we talked about last week when we were talking about designing your personal image. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper and wider and more breadth with regard to what we touched on last week. And it's important that we develop some kind of self-care routine that sticks. And it's not necessarily about the external appearance, even though that's win-win or that can be a plus. But really at the end of the day, it feels really good. It feels good to do it. And it feels good in the fact in how we project. And as I talked about last week, showing up, how is it that you want to show up and project out to the world? When I use that reference with regard to the sun. So first, the question I have for you is, what kind of self-care routine do you need? Is there some kind of self-care routine that you've been thinking about, or you've thought, should I implement that? Or perhaps maybe there's some self-care routine that you can let go of because you need to be more productive in your time. So looking at your self-care routines and really stepping back and thinking about, what do I need to do to make me feel good and show up in the way that I want to? Is it skincare? Perhaps your skin is suffering. Perhaps you're gone through a different stage in life. Perhaps you're recovering from some type of health issue. Whatever the case may be, is it skincare that you need to touch up? Or perhaps if you're a woman, maybe, or man too, I'm not gonna, there's some men that love to wear makeup as well. So maybe it's makeup you need to look at. Maybe you need to change your makeup, maybe the colors that you're doing or the way that you're doing it. Perhaps it's implementing a workout. Maybe you're getting bored with what you're doing, or perhaps you haven't been working out and you're not feeling as energetic as you would desire. So perhaps it's implementing that. There's yoga, there's there's cardio, I'm always good for a run. A run is extremely, and I am going along in my years, but I am determined to still keep running, at least to some degree, but walking, the very least walking. So whatever the case may be. And or could it be a supplement regimen? Is there some supplements that you're missing? Have you had your blood work done lately? And have you really examined what's going on with your body, your system, and what do you need? So maybe there's someone that you can talk to about what kind of self-care routine that you ought to be implementing. Maybe it's some type of health coach, a nutritional coach, maybe it's an image coach, whatever the case may be, but someone that can help you on your personal journey to help step up your your self-care, and so that that routine will stick. As we were discussing this, a lot of us experienced with the pandemic this kind of abrupt with regard to self-care routine, because we didn't have to worry about it as much. People weren't walking out of their house, they weren't showing up to the rest of the world, maybe just on camera, and we were more forgiving perhaps of not putting on makeup, which you normally would put on makeup in the way that you showed up, or maybe you didn't, maybe you just left on your pajama bottoms when you were in a meeting or whatever. So what But the self-care is so important for every aspect. It's important for you physically, it's important for you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. All these things impact, again, who we are, and our experiences with other people, and quite frankly experiences with ourselves. So when you need to take a shower, right? And you feel better after you take that shower, or you've been on a long airplane ride, and one of the first things to do is get in a shower and just kind of get out all that airplane air, and just being stuck in a small area together. So these little self-care routines are really important. So some of the effects that I have seen with the different kinds of regimens with my clients, there's one particular client that comes to mind. She was counseled in a performance review that her executive presence, in order for her to move forward with her goals for her work, she needed to step that up. And she was smart enough to realize, and we're gonna call her Susan for just namesake. I've changed the names of the innocent. And so she realized that there were things that she needed to do to step up her self-care routines in order to show up more at work, in order to meet her goals for advancement. And we did all sorts of different things. We looked at her hair, we looked at if she was wearing any kind of makeup and what makeup. We talked about even her posture, and working out, and how working out helped her energy step up. So these are things that she and I were able to identify together to help her show up the way that she wanted to show up, so that she could get the promotion. And she did. She got the promotion. So let me also tell you about this. Now, I grew up, I'm a farm girl. I grew up on a ranch. I grew up in a very small town. But I've always had this fascination since I was a young girl with makeup. In fact, I was in fifth grade and I started sneaking into my mom's makeup closet when she went back to college after raising 7 children. And so she was gone. And this was before after she got her degree, she was a teacher for like 20 years. But in fifth grade, I was sneaking into her bathroom and pulling out some makeup and experimenting with myself at fifth grade. So I've always had this fascination. However, that being said, because I have worked and been a professional for so much of my life, there are days that I really enjoy not putting makeup on, because it's like, oh yeah, I tell myself, okay, I'm allow my skin to breathe, which is really funny. But it's quite frankly where I start to draw into laziness where it's like, oh, I don't have any meetings today. Oh, I'm not going to be on camera today. I can forgo makeup. And sometimes I've even caught myself planning my schedule of meetings or client sessions around when I wanted to feel like putting on my makeup. I've realized in the last few years, probably actually since the pandemic too, because I think that even kind of hit its height. But I've realized that, you know what? Makeup is for me. And it's for me, like, even to the point of, I go to the restroom and then I'm washing my hands. I just glance in the mirror and I feel better when I see what I've worked on in this self care for me when I look in the mirror. Now, my husband continues to tell me, "Oh, you don't need makeup. You look beautiful just the way." And I think he says that a lot of times so we get out the door faster. So, but again, it's for me. I mean, yes, I feel better when I'm showing up in the most polished way that I can because that's who I am. But at the end of the day, it's not about the other people, it's about me. So, and it's different for everyone, whatever self-care or whatever makes you feel good and really feeds your spirit and your soul and showing up there. And guess what? You shouldn't compare yourself to anyone else. And I know that that can be really easy to do, and I've done that too. In fact, I do a lot of Facebook lives on my business page, my personal and business Facebook lives. And I have to admit that I mostly now do those lives without makeup on. And at first, I really worried about that because I thought, oh my word, people are going to think, oh, she looks old. She looks sick. She looks asleep, whatever the case may be. Again, I wasn't showing up to my standard, but then I realized, you know what? I just need to show up. So again, it is not about someone else's journey, it's about your own personal journey. So now you've decided to implement a routine. And now what? What now what? So people, especially women, you know, y- you may be stuck in, how do I even start this routine? And no one really teaches you how to implement. So let me give you 3 different strategies in order to start a routine. First off, realize and acknowledge, I'm going to start something that's going to make me feel good. And evaluate for yourself, what is right now the thing that I need to do for me that's self-care for me to make me feel good? Is that, and take some time to envision what that looks like for you and set aside time to ponder that and to write it down. So that would be my first thing, is to meditate upon what self-care routine would be best for you, that would lift you and that would feed you in all these different ways. The next is to do a little research on that self care routine. So, for instance, perhaps it's a workout, perhaps it's a yoga session. So, do some research and just kind of try out different yoga programs, or go to YouTube and search yoga instructors and see what kind of clips are out there, and see again what feeds your soul. Let me give you a little bit of story about that. For years, my husband and I did Beachbody. Loved Beachbody. Saw a major transformation of Beachbody, and and then we did the next level of Beachbody. Power. See, Power 90 was first. Anyway, P90X. We did P90X. In P90X, Tony Horton had this yoga routine, and the yoga routine was really good. And but it was not like this restful yoga. It was more like, okay, we're going to hit the yoga. So there's different yoga routines. So again, what is your purpose for your routine? And so experiment. And then last but not least, put it on your calendar. Make a date with yourself to do that and make it a commitment, just like you would make anything a commitment. This self-care routine is, again, it has a bigger purpose. It's not, and again, it's not for someone else, it's for you. It's for you to feed yourself. So those, to recap on that again, is first meditate on what self-care routine would be best for you at this point in your life. Number two, go check out resources for the particular self routine that you've identified. So if it's, like I said, a workout, go check out different workouts and what workout would work best for you. And then three, put it on your calendar and make a date with yourself to make it happen. And then repeat it. And if you've repeated it for over a 21-day period, guess what? It then becomes a habit. And so that would be what I would encourage you to do. And in fact, as we look about that, first, when I talk about pondering and meditating about what exactly you want that self-care to do, it really then comes down to what your motivation is. And the motivation is do I want, whatever the case may be for you, is it I need more energy, or you know what, I need to feel more polished. So as I mentioned in my example of Susan, because I really I want this promotion. Do I want to get into a new relationship? And maybe there's things. So often we think, especially if something's going wrong in relationships, we think, oh yeah, if this person, if my husband would do this, then we would be good. But you know what I have found in 40 years of marriage is that when I work on myself, everything improves. When I work on myself, my relationships improve. When I work on myself, my income improves. When I work on myself, my health improves. When I work on myself, I mean, all of these different aspects improves. So again, keep coming back to what is your motivation. And with regard to motivation, it's got to come from internally to you, from you. It's not about someone says, you know what, I think you need to do this. It is all about what is bubbling up from you for that motivation. With regard, sometimes you can get distracted from doing that self-care routine. And for instance, when you go to bed at night, it's really important to get a good night's rest. It just is. Sleep is so important. And you can go repeatedly day after day or week after week and not have a sleep, but then when you finally get that good night's sleep, it's like your whole outlook, it's like the cobwebs clear. So prioritizing sleep is really important. So what do you need to do to encourage better sleep habits? Perhaps it's turn off your screen sooner. Or why is it that you're using your screen? Are you using because you want entertainment, you want information, perhaps it's tactile, but maybe there's something else that you can do instead of that, reading, knitting, or, whatever the case may be, having a conversation with someone. So coming back to understanding what might derail you from your skincare, your not just your skincare, your self-care routine. What can distract you from moving on for that. Another aspect is spending time in mindful thought, and just take even just a few minutes, 5 minutes, whether it's feeding yourself spiritually, reading a scripture, or if it's reading a self-help book, or it's listening to calm music, whatever the case may be. I actually find folding clothes meditative. I know that's crazy, but sometimes I think, okay, I'll fold the clothes when I'm watching TV, but I actually find that if I have a quiet space and I fold clothes and something doing that with my hands, that tactile, it actually calms me down and it's very, very meditative. Or also too, and actually by meditation and by doing some of these reflections, of reading things, scriptures, self-help books, mindfulness exercises, folding laundry, it actually improves our neuro pathways. So it's actually really good because it improves our focus and our self-regulation, which is really important. Even listening to your favorite podcast can be a great time for self-reflection. And we'd love for you to keep coming back to Neurify and Beautify. And then another thought is having an accountability buddy. So if all else fails in your process to implement a self-care routine that can lift you, talk to a friend or a family member and see if they would be willing to be your accountability partner. And whether it's sharing recent wins or perhaps moments where you feel like you hit a wall, talking to someone can really help. I have a very dear friend whose husband just passed away, and she is really struggling with making any kind of decision, and she's lost. And they were married 47 years, and she's just lost right now. And so one of the things I've tried to do is I've tried to be that accountability buddy for her in asking her, okay, what's your plan for today? And like I said, she's having a hard time making decisions. So if I can help ask her, how's it going? What's the plan? And keeping her moving forward to just, taking one day at a time, one day at a time. I know that this will help. And quite frankly, it's a blessing for me because, the best things of life are the relationships in life. So these self-care things are absolutely phenomenal. The last I would suggest, I mentioned in the very onset, sometimes there may be something that you're doing that perhaps can go away now. And having like a fast from maybe supplements for, a couple days to see if you're really needing all of those supplements. Maybe you're taking too many supplements. Maybe they're fighting against each other. Or perhaps a fast from or a rest from certain workouts and giving your body time to catch up. So again, sometimes we have to sit back too and determine, are there some self-care routines that they filled their season and now it's ready to shift or move on or move out. So those are some thoughts. And again, just I would encourage you to really embrace a self-care routine, and the outcome and the impact of that outcome will be, more positivity in your life, more energy in your life, feeding your soul. And then when you do that, you're going to show up more for yourself and for everyone else around you. Thanks again for coming on and listening to our show today. All right. It was so much fun talking to you and kind of sounding off, if you would, about these tips with regard to building a self-care routine that's going to help you. And my goal for you is that, again, it is for you. It's not about other people. I want you to really keep that in mind. It is really coming into yourself and knowing, you know what? I think that might make me feel better in this way. Or, you know what? That will feel good for me to do. Maybe it's implementing massage. I never even talked about that in the past episode, but whatever the case may be, again, stepping back and reflecting, what is it for you that will help you show up in the way that you desire, and in a positive way. Thank you all for listening to Nourify and Beautify, where we show you the other side of beauty. I hope you enjoyed the episode and you'll subscribe or follow the podcast on your favorite podcast app. If this episode made you think of someone you care about, we hope you'll share it with them. If you want more information about us or to read our blog, check us out at nourify-beautify.com. Our podcast is produced by TSC Studios, and our music is from Soundstripe. If you haven't been over to our YouTube channel, you can watch our interviews there as well. And would love it if you'd leave a comment while you're at it. I'm Linda Yates, and I'll be back next week with my amazing co-host, Noor, with another episode of Nourify and Beautify. See you then.